Hi, I'm Dr. Lynn Johnson, and I would like you to be more successful. I'm going to tell you how I came upon this. I'm a psychologist. I've been in practice for 35 years. And I had a kind of a painful experience when I started my graduate program. I got into a good program in a good Division I school, APA approved, very excited to get in there. I always felt like I'd done pretty well in school. I felt like, okay, this is something I can do. And then I discovered that I wasn't the smartest person in the class. Heck, I wasn't in the top half of the class. I was struggling to keep up. It seemed like I had maybe lived a rather naive, sheltered life because everybody in the class seemed like they were smarter than I was. Well, shocking thing. When I remember very clearly when I started my first statistics class, and to be a psychologist you have to take a whole year of statistics, and I started my first class and I'm looking around and I am not the smartest, I'm not even the top half, I'm one of the slowest ones in the class. I'm struggling. And I thought, well, for a while I thought, oh, I'll never be able to even finish this program, get my PhD. What shall I do? What shall I do? But then I figured, well, if I'm not as smart as the others, I can at least work harder. And I did work harder. About my second or third year into graduate school, I started practicing meditation. And I found that to be very, very helpful. I had a German woman that taught me meditation, Dr. Beata Jenks. And she was an adjunct professor at the program where I went to school. She'd come in and teach us about a German form of meditation that turned out to be very, very helpful, very successful for me. I've practiced it all my life. Now, even though I'm not as smart as a lot of psychologists, I've done a lot more than most psychologists. I have over 20 papers that I've published in refereed journals. I don't know if you know what a refereed journal is, but that's a big deal. I've got 5 books. I've got 7 books because I've got 2 books on Kindle and 5 books that are in print. I've studied brief psychotherapy. I got very good at that. I was able to, after 3 to 4 sessions, half of my patients were fully recovered. Half of them were fully recovered in just less than 4 sessions. 3.7 was the average, and then 4.7 was the average number of sessions. And so I did very, very well. And the reason I did well is I used these meditation techniques that Beata Jenks had been teaching at the university many, many years before. I used them over and over and over again. I used it when I wrote my first book, Psychotherapy in the Age of Accountability. It was a pretty dry title, but I sold several copies and not all of them were purchased by my mother. I've been successful at teaching. I've been all over the world teaching. I've been to Europe, to Spain, to Germany, England. I've been to Japan, been to Alaska, been to Key West, Florida. I did a couple of workshops in Key West. So I've had this very successful life so far. It's an exciting life. It's a wonderful life. And I didn't start out with very much talent. But what I did do is I used my brain to change my reality. I used my brain to motivate me, to work harder, to be more diligent. And that's what I want you to learn in my course on mental training, meditation. I want you to have these secrets. I want you to be more successful. If I can start out being in the bottom quarter or so of the class and still graduate and have a very, very successful career, you can too. Now, I said earlier that I could show you something that would slow down your aging process, and I really mean that. It turns out that if people will meditate, once a day, twice a day, I do it once a day, the aging process slows down. And in all seriousness, when I went to my 30-year high school reunion, I was voted the youngest looking member of the class. I think that's spectacular. And I want you to have that kind of slowing down of the aging process, keeping your energy level, keeping your creativity high. Like I say, I've got 7 books that are either online or in print, and I've got about 3 or 4 more books that I could publish sometime in the near future. I mean, my life is just very creative, not because I was born creative, but because I've trained my brain to change the way it works, and it becomes more creative when I do these exercises. Some ways I've used this in my career, as I say, being a psychologist for the last 35 odd years. Well, I've seen a lot of problems, and I've used this meditation as a tool in many, many, many situations, cases. I'll give you a couple of examples. A woman came to see me with irritable bowel. That's a terribly painful condition, awful painful. And I showed her my meditation skills. I said, I want you to practice this often as you can, once a day, twice a day if you can, 3 times a day if you can. I couldn't see her for a couple of weeks. She came back in 2 weeks. She'd had no symptoms of irritable bowel for 2 full weeks, no cramping, no diarrhea, none of the awful, painful symptoms, and she was just spectacularly happy. She was so thrilled. I was very impressed, and I said, how did you do that? She said, I practice 5 times a day. How do you do that? 10 minutes before I go to work. Morning break, we get a 15-minute break. I do my meditation. Lunchtime, I enjoy my lunch, and then I sit quietly for 10 minutes. Afternoon break, we get another 15-minute break. I do my meditation. Go home. First thing I do when I get home, 10 minutes meditation. I've had that experience over and over again with some of these physical problems like irritable bowel syndrome that are painful, that are difficult, that are dangerous. I've shown people how to get over pain, how to stop migraine headaches, how to stop tension headaches. Pretty fabulous stuff. Now, you might not have irritable bowel. Maybe you don't have, Crohn's disease, something like that. Maybe you don't have migraine headaches or tension headaches or any of those things. Let me give you a different story. My friend Jeff ran a ski shop, and one of his employees was a remarkable mogul skier. This was several years ago before the snowboarders came along and knocked down all the moguls. But in the old days, in a ski resort, you generally have 1 or 2 fairly steep runs with great big bumps all the way down. Those are called moguls. And we'll call him Dave. Dave could go down through those moguls like nobody's business. So he got on the circuit, and he'd go out to a competition and ski, and he'd go out to another and ski. And he did well, but he never finished higher than about 10th in the finals. And Jeff was convinced he should be doing better. He had the talent to do better. He had the leg strength to do better. And he sent him to me. He said, do some of your mental training on him. I showed him some meditation techniques. I showed him some visualization techniques. And for spring, summer, fall, he practiced those. The next winter, he finished in the top 3 in the nation. How about you? What would you like to do better? How would you like to improve your life? As I said, these kinds of techniques are useful in so many different ways. It's astonishing. I'll give you another example. A woman named Barb Fredrickson, University of North Carolina, has shown that a variation of this meditation, and I'm going to teach this type of meditation in my course, a variation on this makes you more loving, and frankly, it makes you more lovable. In other words, if you can find a way to love and care about and nurture the people around you, you're going to be far, far happier. A guy named Richie Davidson has shown that people who meditate on a regular basis, they're much happier. They're much more resilient. They're less bothered by stress. I've been meditating since I was in graduate school, and frankly, I bounce back so much quicker than I ever did. I was born an unhappy, worrisome kind of soul. It was really tough being me, I'll tell you. And I've gotten to the point where I can bounce back very quickly from the troubles and the pains and the problems that we all face. I do a lot of traveling around the country. I do a lot of training, mental health training. I work with mental health centers and with therapists all over the country, helping them be better at what they do. And I miss a plane, I'm not upset. I miss a night's sleep because I have to travel all night to get to the next location. I'm not upset. It is like, I don't know, you just get very resilient. And the things I'm going to teach you in this series will give you the kind of resiliency that will make a huge difference in your life. What would you pay? What would you be willing to offer to simply bounce back so much more quickly from problems, from difficulties, things like that? Would you be willing to put in some time and some effort? Remember when Dave wanted to be a world-class mogul skier, he put in spring, summer, fall. He practiced very, very diligently with this. Did it pay off for him? You bet it did. Top 3 in the nation. How can you go wrong with this? So, this is an exciting process that I'm offering you here. I think you ought to get in on it. I'm going to give you some more videos that will tell you some of the specific tools and techniques that you can use to make your life happier, make your life better in every way you can think of. Hey, thanks for watching. Tune in again. I'll give you some inside secrets on success and high performance. This is Dr. Lynn Johnson. Check my website, drlynnjohnson.com, autogenichealing.com. Stop by, see what we're doing. There's free stuff you can download. Participate in the discussion. Good to have you aboard. Thanks.